Hey guys, it's Jennifer from Live, Laugh, Love to Read. Today I am doing a book review on Millicent Glenn's Last Wish by Tori Whitaker. So I got this book on Amazon Prime. It's the Amazon Reads that they do every month where you get to pick a new book for free for your Kindle. So this is the book that I picked. Millicent Glenn's Last Wish. So I'm giving this book 3.8 stars. Okay, so I liked the book. I liked a lot of the things that were going on, but there was some things I didn't really like. So I'm giving it 3.8 stars. Yeah. So let me read you a synopsis off of Goodreads. It says, let me get back in there because I just messed it up. Says 3 generations of women and the love, loss, and sacrifice and secrets that can bind them forever or tear them apart. Millicent Glenn is self-sufficient and continually alone in the Cincinnati suburbs. As she nears her 91st birthday, her daughter Jane, with whom she's weathered a shaky relationship, suddenly moves back home. Then Millie's granddaughter shares the thrilling surprise that she's pregnant. But for Millie, the news stirs heartbreaking memories of a past she's kept hidden for too long. Maybe it's time she shared something too. Millie's last wish? For Jane to forgive her. 60 years ago, Millie was living a dream. She had a husband she adored, a job of her own, a precious baby girl, and another child on the way. They were the perfect family. All it took was one irreversible moment to shatter everything, reshaping Millie's life and the lives of generations to come. As Millie's old wounds are exposed, so are the secrets she's kept for so long. Finally, revealing them to her daughter might be the greatest risk a mother could take in the name of love. Yeah. So we have Millie, who is 91, and then we have Jane, which is her daughter, who is in her late 60s, and then we have Kelsey, who is Jane's daughter, who I want to say is in her 30s, who's pregnant at the time. So we do have dual timelines. We have the present, and then it does go back to when Millie was a young bride in the 50s and 60s. And so the parts that I really liked in this book were the references to like the kitchen. So Millie and her husband Dennis, they own their own business, and what it is they are franchised through the and I forgot the name of it, but it's like they're like prefab kits to build a home. And so they own this business, and so it does talk about different things in her kitchen in the 1950s or 60s, which I found really interesting because I like that kind of stuff. For instance, like that she said, like she was serving chips and dip, and she's going to get out her fancy bowl that had the little dip cup that hung on the side, like back from the 60s. And then it talked about some other stuff like Jane, who is the daughter of Millie, actually went through the 70s, and she was the typical flower child, hippie child. And it talked a little bit about that. I kind of wish they'd talked a little bit more. Who ended up in a, what's it called? Not a cult. A commune. I couldn't think of the word. A commune, and that's actually where Kelsey was born. But then they moved back home after that. So some of the other things I liked was when the author was telling about the 50s and 60s, she really talked about some of the different things, like they went to their very first Tupperware party. That was cool. And they talked about the different pieces you could buy, and she really described them well. My mom was a Tupperware lady whenever I was a young child, so I thought that was pretty interesting. And then the author really touched on how women back then were not created equal at all. So, for instance, Millie went to the bank to open a savings account in her name, and the bank the banker's like, oh, is your husband here? And she's like, no. He's like, okay, well, here's a paperwork for him to sign, and then I can open you an account. Like, what? You know, and I didn't know. I mean, I knew women were treated not equal back then, but I didn't know that. So that was interesting. But some of the things I didn't like about this book were, I mean, and it's just little miniature things that I didn't like. It's like, as the story was going on, there was like little cliffhangers, you know, for the next chapter, and I don't know. The story didn't flow smoothly for me, because it's almost like the author wanted to trick you into thinking this one thing, and then she's like, nope, this is actually what happened. Which is okay, but it was kind of turning me off, but not enough to stop reading it. I did enjoy it. I liked it. 3.8 stars. I would recommend it, and I would look for other books by Tori Whitaker. But I am giving it 3.8 stars, only because, like I said, there was just some little things in there that kind of irritated me. But for the most part, I found Millie pretty likable. It did touch on a little bit of drug abuse in there, yeah, like Jane being the typical hippie, you know, she did a lot of drugs and stuff, but now doesn't, of course. She's 68 or something like that. But then something tragic happened I want to say it was in the 60s that it happened. And when it did, Millie actually was taking pills that the doctor was prescribing, but she needed them. So she got addicted to them, and yeah, and all that. So it does talk a little bit about that. But yeah, overall, it was pretty good. 3.8 stars. I thought it was good. And especially for free. I mean, if you have Amazon Prime, make sure you get in on that, because I think it's called Amazon First Reads, I think is what it's called, where you get one free Kindle book every month that is like a new release, and there's usually like 6 to 8 to pick from. One month there you got to pick 2, but most of the time it's 1. But anyway, so like this video, give me a like, and hey, while you're here, how about a subscribe? Also, don't forget to check back for more book videos coming up soon. Thanks, friends. I'll see you next time.